My sister ruined the birthday cake I made. I didn't help her, and it exposed years of family favoritism and unresolved tension. I am a 30-year-old woman from a working-class family in a small town in the Pacific Northwest. My parents, Mark, 60, and Sarah, 58, worked tirelessly to provide for us. Dad was a middle school math teacher, and Mom worked as a librarian at the local library. They instilled in us the values of hard work and kindness, always emphasizing that character matters more than wealth. Growing up, our home was modest but filled with warmth. We had weekly movie nights where we gathered around our old, worn-out couch to watch films. Mom would make her famous popcorn, and Dad would share stories from his teaching days. Those nights are some of my fondest childhood memories. My younger sister Lily, 26, and I were close as kids. We'd spend hours creating elaborate art projects or exploring the nearby park. Lily was always the imaginative one, her creativity shining as she spun tales about the adventures we could have. Things began to shift when Lily entered high school. She was always bright, but during her freshman year, she truly began to excel academically. Her teachers praised her intelligence, and she started winning awards in various competitions. I was proud of her, but I also felt a growing shadow as Lily's achievements began to eclipse my own average performance. The real turning point came when Lily was offered a scholarship to Crestwood Academy, a prestigious private school in the nearby city. It was an incredible opportunity, one our parents couldn't pass up. Despite the financial strain, they took on extra work to make it happen. From the moment Lily started at Crestwood, it was as if she entered a different world. She made friends with kids from affluent families, began using terms we'd never heard before, and started to show disdain for our simple lifestyle. The first time she brought home a friend from school, I overheard her apologizing for our humble home. I felt a mix of embarrassment and anger. This was our home, filled with memories. As Lily's high school years progressed, the divide between us grew wider. She rarely joined our family movie nights anymore, always claiming she had too much homework or plans with her new friends. When she did join us, she'd make snide comments about how outdated our traditions were. It hurt to see the sister I once adored turning into someone I barely recognized. Despite the changes in Lily, our parents continued to praise her every achievement, proudly sharing her perfect grades and her role as president of the student council. Meanwhile, my average grades and participation in the school band barely registered. I tried not to be resentful, immersing myself in my own interests. I joined the local art club and discovered a passion for painting. The studio became my sanctuary, a place where I could express myself and feel proud of my work. Mom would sometimes join me, and those moments became our special bonding time. After high school, Lily got into a prestigious university on the West Coast. The day her acceptance letter arrived, our parents threw a huge celebration, inviting the entire extended family. I remember standing in the corner of our living room, watching as relatives fawned over Lily, feeling invisible. I stayed local for college, attending the community college just a short drive from home. I worked part-time at a local cafe to help pay for my education and contribute to our household. Lily rarely came home during her college years, always claiming she was too busy with internships or social events. When she did visit, she'd regale us with stories of her important connections and the lavish lifestyle of her college friends. Fast forward to now, I finally achieved my dream of opening my own small art studio in our hometown. It's been open for a year, and while it's not making me rich, it's doing well enough that I've been able to hire 2 part-time employees and even help our parents with some of their expenses. Mom and Dad have been supportive, often stopping by to see my new projects or just to chat during slow afternoons. Lily, on the other hand, has continued to climb the corporate ladder. She's now a project manager at a well-known firm, constantly posting on social media about her business trips, fancy dinners, and designer clothes. Her visits home have become even rarer, and when she does come, she spends most of the time on her phone or complaining about how tea here is nothing to do in our small town. Last month, our cousin Mia, 27, got married. Mia and I have always been close. She often joined me in the studio during family gatherings, and we'd chat while working on our projects. When she asked me to make her wedding cake, I was honored and spent weeks perfecting the design. The wedding was a family event held in the beautiful garden of Mia's fiancé's family home. It was a lovely outdoor affair with fairy lights strung across the trees and wildflowers on every table. I arrived early to set up the cake and help with last-minute preparations. Lily showed up just before the ceremony, dressed in an expensive designer dress that looked out of place in the garden setting. Throughout the reception, she kept making loud comments about how quaint and simple the wedding was, her tone dripping with condescension. I saw the hurt looks on Mia and her new husband's faces, but they were too polite to say anything. I tried to ignore Lily, focusing instead on celebrating Mia's special day, but things took a turn when Lily had a bit too much to drink. She started flirting aggressively with one of the groomsmen, Alex, who happened to be Mia's childhood friend. Alex was clearly uncomfortable, trying to politely excuse himself, but Lily wouldn't take the hint. At one point, she stumbled and spilled her red wine all over her expensive dress, making a scene and loudly complaining about how much it cost. People were staring, and I could see Mia looking upset on what was supposed to be her perfect day. Part of me wanted to help Lily, to save her from embarrassing herself further and ruining Mia's wedding, but another part of me felt like she deserved to face the consequences of her actions for once, so I stayed where I was, pretending not to notice the commotion. Things escalated when Lily tried to approach Alex again. She tripped over her own feet and fell face first into the wedding cake, the three-tiered masterpiece I had spent weeks perfecting. The entire room went silent. Lily was covered in cake and frosting, looking utterly ridiculous in her ruined designer dress. She looked around the room, her eyes landing on me, and I could see the silent plea for help in her eyes, a glimpse of the sister I used to know peeking through her drunken haze. But I turned away, leaving her to deal with the mess she created. Our parents rushed to Lily's aid, helping her up and quickly ushering her out of the reception hall. I stayed behind to help Mia and her new husband salvage what was left of their wedding celebration. We managed to save the bottom tier of the cake, and Mia was gracious enough to laugh off the incident, saying it would make for a memorable wedding story. But as I watched Mia cut into what remained of the cake I had poured my heart into, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions: anger at Lily for her behavior, guilt for not helping her, and a deep sadness for how far apart we'd grown. Am I the bad sister for not helping Lily in her moment of humiliation, even though she's been insufferable for years? Should I have put aside my resentment and stepped in to help her, or was it right to let her face the consequences of her actions for once? Update 1. It's been about a month since Mia's wedding, and a lot has happened. I thought I'd update you all on the situation with Lily and how things have unfolded in our family. The day after the wedding, I woke up to a barrage of angry texts from Lily. She accused me of abandoning her and making her look foolish. Some of her messages were barely coherent, a mix of drunken typos and bitter accusations. I didn't respond to any of them, deciding it was better to let her cool off before attempting any kind of conversation. Later that day, I received a call from our parents. Mom was in tears and Dad's voice was tight with disappointment. They berated me for not helping Lily, saying I should have put aside my feelings and helped my sister in her time of need. I tried to explain my side of the story, but they were too focused on Lily's embarrassment to listen. The call ended with Mom sobbing and Dad telling me I needed to apologize to Lily. I spent the next few days in a fog of conflicting emotions. On one hand, I felt guilty for not helping Lily. Despite everything, she was still my sister. On the other hand, I was angry at Lily for her behavior, angry at my parents for always taking her side, and angry at myself for still caring what they thought. A week after the wedding, our grandmother, Nana June, invited the whole family for Sunday dinner. Nana June has always been the matriarch of our family, the voice of reason in any dispute. As I drove up the winding driveway to Nana's house, I was transported back to childhood summers spent running through her garden, helping her make jam, and listening to her stories about our family's history. Nana June was the one who first taught me to paint, patiently guiding my small hands as we created art together. The dinner started off tense. Lily wouldn't look at me, and our parents were giving me the cold shoulder. But Nana June, bless her heart, wasn't having any of it. After the main course, her famous roast chicken, she cleared her throat and addressed the elephant in the room. "Now, I've heard about what happened at Mia's wedding," she began, her voice firm but kind. "And I think it's high time we had a family discussion about respect and understanding." What followed was an hour-long conversation where Nana June methodically broke down the issues in our family dynamic. She talked about how Lily's behavior had been enabled for years, how our parents' favoritism had created a rift between siblings, and how my resentment had built up over time. She reminded us of the values our grandfather had always tried to instill in Yu's values of humility and kindness. To my surprise, Lily didn't interrupt or try to defend herself. She sat there looking more humble than I'd seen her in years. When Nana June finished speaking, Lily did something I never expected. She apologized. "I am sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been a real jerk, haven't I?" The room was silent for a moment before I found my voice. Yeah, you have, I replied, but without the anger I'd been carrying for so long. Lily went on to explain that the wedding incident wasn't the only thing that had happened recently. She had lost her job at the firm. Apparently, her behavior at work had been just as arrogant as it was with family, and her boss had had enough. She admitted that she'd been overcompensating at the wedding, trying to maintain the illusion of success. As Lily spoke, I began to see my sister again at the arrogant, condescending person she'd become, but the vulnerable, uncertain person underneath. She talked about feeling lost, about the pressure she put on herself to succeed, and how empty her achievements felt. Our parents, to their credit, also apologized for their role in enabling Lily's behavior. Mom, tears in her eyes, admitted that she had pushed Lily so hard because she wanted her to have the opportunities she never had. Dad confessed that he had favored Lily because she reminded him of himself at that age, ambitious and eager to leave our small town behind. As for me, I admitted that I could have handled the wedding situation better. While I didn't regret not rushing to Lily's aid immediately, I recognized that my inaction was partly driven by years of pent-up resentment. By the end of the night, it felt like a weight had been lifted. We didn't resolve everything in one dinner, of course, but it was a start. Lily asked if she could come by my art studio sometime, saying she'd like to see what I'd built. I agreed, albeit cautiously, as we were leaving. Nana June pulled me aside and pressed a worn, leather-bound sketchbook into my Hampshire sketchbook, the one I'd watched her write in countless times over the years. "I think you'll make better use of this than I will now," she said with a wink. "And remember, families are like art. Sometimes you need to step back to see the bigger picture." It's been a few weeks since that dinner, and things are different, not perfect, but different. Lily has been making an effort to be less arrogant, and our parents have been more conscious about treating us equally. Lily has started coming to the studio, not just to visit, but to help out. She's terrible at painting, but she's trying, and that means more to me than I can express. As for me, I am trying to let go of some of my old resentments. It's not easy. Years of feeling second best don't disappear overnight, but I am working on it one day at a time. I know we have a long way to go, but for the first time in years, I feel hopeful about my relationship with my sister and my place in our family. I'll keep you all updated on how things progress. Update 2. It's been another 2 months since my last update, and I wanted to share the progress we've made as a family, as well as some new challenges that have arisen. After our family dinner at Nana June's, Lily and I started to rebuild our relationship. She's been coming to the studio regularly, not just to visit, but to actually help out. At first, it was a bit of a disaster. She nearly ruined a batch of paint and somehow managed to get splatters everywhere. But she's been persistent, and I have to admit it's been nice having her around. One day, as we were closing up the studio, Lily confessed that she'd always been a bit jealous of my ability to create something tangible with my hands. "All those years in corporate," she said, "and I never once got to see or feel the results of my work. But here, every day, you are making something real that brings joy to people." That conversation led to us starting a new tradition of Saturday brunches where we take turns cooking for each other. Last Saturday, Lily attempted to make pancakes from scratch. They were hilariously lopsided and a bit burnt, but the effort meant more to me than any expensive gift she could have bought in her old life. Lily has also started volunteering at the local community center, teaching art classes to kids. It's been heartwarming to see her use her creativity to help others without any expectation of praise or reward. She told me that working with the kids has given her a new perspective on what's truly important in life. Our parents have been making efforts too. Mom has started showing more interest in my art studio, even asking for painting lessons. Dad, who was always a bit distant, has been making an effort to connect with both of us equally. He's been helping me with some business planning for the studio and brainstorming ideas with Lily for potential new projects. However, just as things were improving between us, a new problem arose. Our parents, particularly Mom, seemed to be struggling with the shift in family dynamics. About a month ago, we had another family dinner at our parents' house. Lily and I arrived together, chatting amiably about a funny incident that had happened at my studio involving a mix-up between paint colors. The moment we walked in, I could sense something was off with Mom. She seemed tense, her smile a bit too forced as she greeted us. Throughout dinner, Mom kept trying to bring up Lily's old job, asking if she'd heard back from any of her important connections. When Lily politely changed the subject, talking instead about her volunteer work, Mom's face fell. I could see the disappointment in her eyes, and it made me uneasy. After dinner, as Lily was helping Dad with the dishes, Mom pulled me aside into the living room, which was filled with framed photos of our family. I couldn't help but notice how many of them featured Lily's achievements: her high school graduation, college acceptance, first job offer. It was like a shrine to her past success. "Emma, don't you think you should be encouraging Lily to get back into the corporate world?" she asked, her voice low. "All this art talk and volunteering, it's not really suitable for someone of her caliber, is it?" I was shocked. "Mom, Lily seems happier now than she has in years," I replied. "Isn't that what's important?" Mom shook her head, her eyes darting to a photo of Lily in her expensive suit from a few years ago. "But she had such a promising career. All that education, all those opportunities, it just seems like such a waste." I tried to explain that Lily was finding fulfillment in her new path, that she was becoming a better person, but Mom wouldn't hear it. She seemed fixated on the idea of Lily returning to her high-flying corporate life. This conversation opened my eyes to a troubling reality. While Lily and I were working on our issues, our parents, especially Mom, were struggling to adapt to the new family dynamic. They had built so much of their pride around Lily's corporate success that they couldn't see the value in her personal growth. Over the next few weeks, this became a recurring issue. Mom would make subtle and sometimes not so subtle comments about Lily getting back on track. She'd send her job listings for corporate positions and talk about connections she could leverage for her. One particularly tense moment came during a family barbecue. Lily was excitedly telling everyone about a group of kids she'd helped create art for the first time. The joy on her face was palpable as she described how one child had beamed with pride at their finished project. Mom, instead of sharing in Lily's enthusiasm, simply asked, "That's nice, dear. But have you thought about using your skills for something more substantial?" I heard the art firm in the city is hiring. The light dimmed in Lily's eyes, and I felt a surge of protectiveness I hadn't experienced since we were kids. Before I could say anything, though, Dad stepped in gently. "Linda," he said, "I think what Lily's doing is pretty substantial. She's making a real difference in people's lives." It was the first time I'd seen Dad openly disagree with Mom about Lily's choices, and the tension was palpable. Mom pursed her lips but didn't argue further. Lily, to her credit, has been handling it with grace. She gently but firmly tells Mom that she's not interested in returning to that life right now, but I can see the strain it's putting on her and on her relationship with our parents. Dad seems more accepting of Lily's new path, but he doesn't always stand up to Mom when she starts pressuring her. It's creating a new tension in our family, just as Lily and I were starting to heal our relationship. I am torn about how to handle this. On one hand, I want to support Lily in her journey of self-improvement. On the other hand, I don't want to create more conflict with our parents, especially when we've just started to address our past issues. Lily and I have talked about it, and we're both at a loss. We're considering having another meeting, maybe with Nana June present again, to address this new challenge, but we're worried about how Mom will react. As always, any advice would be appreciated. How do we help our parents, especially Mom, accept and support Lily's new path in life? Update 3. It's been another month since my last update, and I am happy to report that we've made some significant progress in our family situation. After much discussion, Lily and I decided to confront the issue with our parents head-on. We invited them, along with Nana June, to my art studio after hours for a family meeting. We thought the neutral territory might help keep things calm. The evening of the meeting, I was a bundle of nerves. I spent the afternoon stress painting, resulting in an abundance of canvases that I set out on the walls as everyone arrived. The studio filled with the comforting aroma of fresh paint, a scent that always reminds me of home and family. The meeting started tensely. Mom was defensive from the get-go, insisting that she only wanted what was best for Lily. Dad mostly stayed quiet, but I could see the conflict on his face. Nana June sat quietly, her wise eyes taking everything in. Lily spoke first, calmly explaining how much happier and more fulfilled she felt in her new life. She talked about the satisfaction she got from her volunteer work and how she was exploring starting her own small business, inspired by my studio's success. "Mom, Dad," she said, her voice steady but emotional, "I know you wanted the best for me, and I appreciate everything you've done, but the corporate life, it wasn't making me happy. I was stressed all the time, I barely slept, and I felt like I was losing myself. Now, for the first time in years, I feel like I am doing something meaningful." I shared how proud I was of Lily's personal growth and how our relationship had improved. I also expressed my frustration with Mom's constant pressure on Lily to return to her old lifestyle. Mom didn't take it well at first, She became emotional, saying she couldn't understand why Lily would throw away her education and opportunities. "We sacrificed so much to give you those chances," she said, her voice breaking. "How can you just walk away from all of that?" That's when Nana June stepped in with her wise, no-nonsense way. "Linda," she said, "what's more important to you, Lily's resume or Lily's happiness?" That question seemed to stop Mom in her tracks for a moment. She was speechless. Then, to everyone's surprise, she started to cry. Through her tears, Mom confessed that she had always felt insecure about our family's modest background. Lily's corporate success had been a source of pride for her, a way to prove that our family could make it in the world. The idea of Lily stepping away from that life felt to her like a step backward. "I just wanted you to have everything I never had," she said, looking at both Lily and me. "I didn't want you to struggle like your father and I did." It was a breakthrough moment. For the first time, we all understood the root of Mom's behavior. Dad finally found his voice and admitted that he had gone along with Mom's pressure on Lily because he didn't want to disappoint her, even though he personally was proud of Lily's new path. "I see now that we were so focused on external success that we forgot about what really matters," Dad said, his voice thick with emotion. "I am sorry we put that pressure on you, Lily and Emma. I am sorry we didn't appreciate your paths as much as we should have." The conversation that followed was honest, emotional, and ultimately healing. We talked about redefining success, about the value of personal happiness over societal expectations. Mom began to see how her actions, though well-intentioned, had been harmful. Nana June shared stories about our family's history, about great-grandparents who had weathered tough times, and about Grandpa's decision to pursue his passion despite disapproval from others. "Our family strength," she said, "has always been in our ability to forge our own paths and support each other, no matter what." By the end of the night, we had come to some important agreements. Our parents would respect Lily's choices and not pressure her about her career. We would have regular family meetings to check in and address any issues before they became major problems. We would all work on expressing our feelings more openly and honestly with each other, focusing on supporting each other's happiness rather than trying to live up to external expectations. As we were cleaning up, Mom approached me. She picked up one of the canvases I had painted earlier and admired it. "This is wonderful, Emma," she said softly. "I am sorry I haven't appreciated your talent as much as I should have. Would you be willing to teach me how to paint?" That simple request felt like the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship. In the weeks since that meeting, things have improved dramatically. Mom has stopped sending Lily job listings and has even started showing interest in her volunteer work. Last week, she surprised us all by asking Lily to teach her some basic art techniques, just like she does with the kids at the community center. Dad has become more vocal in his support of both Lily and me, helping me with some business planning for my studio, and brainstorming ideas with Lily for her potential new projects. As for Lily and me, our relationship continues to grow stronger. Our Saturday brunches have become a highlight of my week. Last Saturday, Lily attempted to bake a cake from scratch using one of Nana June's old recipes. The cake was a bit lopsided and the frosting was too sweet, but we laughed together as we enjoyed it, making plans for her next baking attempt. There are still moments of tension old habits that slip through now and then, but now, instead of letting them fester, we address them openly and work through them together. I know we still have work to do, but I am incredibly proud of how far we've come as a family. Lily's embarrassing moment at Mia's wedding, as unfortunate as it was, turned out to be the catalyst for real positive change in our lives. Thank you all for your support and advice throughout this journey. Your perspectives helped me navigate these challenging family dynamics. While we're not perfect, we're learning and growing together, and that's what really matters.